So, what we do generally is this is the agenda for today, and so maybe what we'll do is just take everybody from the top. I'll go in the order that's on the panel in front of me, and I'll just call out your name. And so, take a minute or so just to let us know who you are, what you do, and what brought you to the call quickly. All right. So, Francis, you're first.
Oh, really? All right. So my name is Francis Blavo. And so I run an independent financial advisory firm that I help small business owners to navigate and strategize through some of the challenges in running a successful business. So what I do is to educate and provide tax planning strategies so that they can have solid foundation. We're looking at tax planning strategies. We're looking at income solutions as well.
Okay.
So that in tough cases like now, small business owners who depend on their income will have income stream coming in to help them. So
Awesome.
in a nutshell, this is what I do. I connected with Mike a while ago, but I never had opportunity on coming on this call. And I thought, you know what? Let me hop in and see what we can do to kind of strategize and help each other grow our businesses. So
awesome.
I'm here to listen to some of your inputs and to share ideas to grow our businesses.
Great. Carl, you're next.
Thank you. I'm retired, but I spent 40 years in the wealth management business. I was lucky to sell 5 years ago and to a partner. So it's been a transition time. I had a lot of experience in succession planning, so I believe I was successful on that. Now I spend my time in not-for-profit sector, food bank, neighborhood associations, community foundation, and I still have my hands in my old startup community of I'm referred to as Uncle Carl, and every day I get a call with somebody that's got an idea, they want to move forward, they need some connections, and Michael and I have had a connection from an old friend, and we've stayed in touch over the last 3 years, and I'm here to listen because I think our work today as people that have got a lot of bruises from prior economic crisis, this one will be slightly different, but the same. And maybe I'll have an idea that I can share. So I'm looking forward to hearing other people's ideas today.
Excellent. Thanks, Carl. Harry, sorry. Harry, you're next.
Oh, Arthur.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I was so focused on stuff. Hi, everyone. My name is Harry Zanibe. So my background in non-for-profit, in sports, and also currently now in the tech industry. Just brief in the non-for-profit sector. It's just I have a non-for-profit that I founded. This is my 11th year. I founded it since when I was a teenager. It operates both in Nigeria and here occasionally, and it's focused on education, peace, youth empowerment, and community development, while using sports as a tool. So I've had that. I do that regardless of whatever work I have. It's just a passion of mine. And then in the basketball world I'm very experienced in the business of basketball as well as coaching. I did work with the Toronto Raptors front office for 4.5 years and also coached. So I got so exposed in that aspect of sports, and with my background in human behavior, that helped me so much in working with people a lot because I studied that in university as well. But my current role now in tech, it's also focused on people management and helping to translate strategy into more practical, workable people solution. And so all that kind of ties in for me with my experiences in ensuring that, in the workplace, the most important thing, it's always the communication, the way things are being received, the way you pass it over to other people, managing people better in a more collaborative way as opposed to authoritative way. And this, and again, the invitation from Michael, I thought this was great because it speaks about more leadership and being able to, manage people properly. So I thought I I jump in and learn more and see how to even reach out to more employees during this time to keep them sane, because this is we're all affected by it, and there's like a stop in every operations, right? So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thanks, Harry. Glad to have you here. Cheryl?
Hi, I'm Cheryl Pym. I work with Mike at a startup cannabis company that unfortunately has gone into receivership with many others. And since then, I am doing global marketing for a company called PMC that sells assessments that assess managers' ability to coach their direct report. And I've been tasked with updating all the social media, the website, the whole digital marketing plan for PMC. So I'm currently redoing the website, redoing all the blogs, and it is a slog with the blogs. So anyways, I'm glad to be able to join you today.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Cheryl. Peter, you're next on my list.
Hi there. I'm just wrapping up my lunch, which is why I didn't have the video on. So I'm a consultant and a coach in the digital transformation area. So I have my own company that I have a business partner with, and we go in and help companies primarily from a technology perspective, but mostly around aligning technology with your business practices. So a lot of agile and DevOps and transformational things, all these kind of things. So team coaching, individual coaching, leadership coaching, all these kind of activities.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Leah, you're next on my list.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leah DeSpiegler. Michael and I had connected through LinkedIn kind of randomly and just opened a conversation, and turns out we have a lot of stuff in common and a lot of really about connecting people and encouraging people. And so it's excited to be joined here. My day-to-day, I'm the publisher. I'm connected with an organization called Best Version Media. Not sure if any of you have heard about it. We produce these neighborhood publications. These are just a couple samples. You may or may not receive one in your mailbox at your house, but we're connected all across Canada and North America, but I work locally in the Waterloo region area, so Kitchener-Waterloo, Guelph, and really my role is to on kind of the sales advertising side, connect businesses with the communities that I work with to create these neighborhood publications. And on the people management side is because we have multiple neighborhoods that we work with, I'm helping other publishers kind of bring businesses to the neighborhood. So Michael and I had a great conversation at multiple levels. So kind of on the sales level, on the marketing communications level, on the people management, leadership, neighborhood, community, all those things. So I was excited to join this conversation to see how businesses beyond just my region and beyond the scope of my industry, I guess, are navigating. So that's why I'm here.
Nice.
And thanks for the invite, Michael.
Yes, thanks for being here, Leah. And let's see, who have I got next that I haven't? Deb, I think you're the last one.
All right. Well, thanks very much for the invitation. And I think like all of you, I connected with Michael on LinkedIn. And it's nice to be in a group with some like-minded people. I'm an executive coach, but I spend my time primarily in the neuroscience world within that. So basically, in a nutshell, I have an assessment that's neuroscience-based. It's not like the DISC or the Myers-Briggs. It's much different. And that was my background in my schooling. So I spent 23 years in the disability management sector as a neurotrauma case manager.
Wow.
And basically got burnt out and made a lot of insurance companies and a lot of lawyers wealthy. And I was missing the direct patient care. So I decided to migrate 9 years ago now into coaching. And really it's kind of grown based on a bunch of different factors, and I'm sure we're going to talk about what's going on right now, but I find I spend a lot of time with mid to upper managers, a lot of C-suite leaders and their teams, but the lay of the land and where I'm really loving spending my time is in organizational development when there's a change management initiative. because I'm able to take my assessment and do hundreds of people and really give the executive a good DNA matrix of, especially if they're having difficulty with culture. And I also love working in the HR sector because I help a lot of talent acquisition directors make sure that they're hiring the right person, because the CV does one thing and the interview does another. And if you can give them some insights into how a person's thinking and where they may have some challenges, especially for salaries that are quite significant for executives and C-suite leaders. So it's kind of like the last onboarding modality, and I enjoy spending a lot of time. And in the IT sector, it's really kept me busy with ghosting. And it's helping the ratios, because most big companies are having to interview 100 people for an IT job to get one good candidate, and really making an impact in that sector. So that's kind of the work that I'm doing right now.
Wow, awesome. Thanks for being here. And I got my introduction to neuroscience through a group called Be Above Coaching. I think it was last year, and it's fascinating. So hopefully I'll get some more time to spend there. Okay, so is there anybody on the call that I missed? Just double check. Okay, no, I don't think so. So part of what is kind of wrapped up in some of what we've already talked about today and kind of hinted at is resilience. So this week, working with a group called Emergenetics, one of the coaches there from Luminous Learning went through resilience with us. And resilience is about how we react to unexpected disruptive changes and challenges, kind of like what's going on now. And what's really interesting, and Deb, you'll probably talk about this, or we might hit it later on, is that each of us has a unique pattern of strengths as well as characteristics we may under-rely on, so a strength we don't use as often as we should, or one that we over-rely on, and that gets kind of, you know, if you've got a hammer, everything looks like a nail kind of approach. So it's really interesting to see how we all might be resilient throughout this time. So I've got a poll, and let me see if I can launch the poll. So I've got a number of these. We'll see if we can get through all of them by the end of the call and just see how resilient maybe we think we are. So I'm going to launch the polling, and you guys tell me if you see that one about positivity. Mm-hmm. So everybody go ahead and take a second, just read the two. So the one with the bracket is kind of the left-hand side of the scale, and the 5 is the right-hand side of the scale. So in terms of positivity, where do you land? And then I'll share it. Okay, so I've got, what have I got? 6 of you in. I think there's only maybe one more to come. 7 I'm looking for. And I've got 7. Okay, so if I end it, I have to remember and share. Okay, so you guys see the poll being shared on your screens? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're a fairly positive bunch. So seeing the possibilities within the challenges we have and seizing and creating opportunities. Awesome. Thanks for filling that one in. Okay, so the next part of our meeting is the member spotlight, and I can get my screen to move. Member spotlight with Deb. So Deb is going to take center stage now and tell us a little bit more about herself and what she does, and probably take about 3 to 5 minutes or so to do that. Deb, do you have slides that I need to allow you to put up, or do you just want to talk about yourself?
I just thought I would talk because I figured we've all been inundated with webinars and information. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm always up for an intellectual, stimulating conversation. So I hope I'm not being presumptive by not having something for you to look at.
Oh, that's fine.
What I wanted to say was not so much talk about me, but I just think that we've all been uniquely prepared to serve in where we land. I landed up getting out of being a neurotrauma case manager, and like I said, I loved the work, but I no sooner got out of that role, and 6 months later, our daughter sustained a brain injury. So, you know, those moments of resilience where you take a step back and you think, okay, like, why is this happening? And, you know, we always have a positive or a negative way of looking at it. So the Coles Notes version is our daughter's doing well. She has some permanent deficits, but she's going to university and she's studying neuroscience with a brain injury, and her eyes don't always work. But what I learned from that experience that I think I really bring into my coaching practice is it's very easy for us to find everything that's wrong. And if we exercise, like Michael said, that muscle of resilience, it really allows our logical mind to always be precedent in everything that we do and who we value ourselves in terms of our own self-worth. Because the negative's really easy to do, and we can list all sorts of negative things. It's kind of like if someone says, you know, list 10 things about yourself that you don't like, many people can do that very quickly. And then if you challenge them to do the same thing about what they like or love about themselves, it's a little bit of a longer process. So I always just, you know, the biggest thing I want to share about me is I am the eternal optimist. People keep asking me how I'm doing at home. I coach from home, so my life hasn't really been turned upside down. What I am missing is the networking, and I run a large group on LinkedIn. I'm in London, Ontario, and we have big monthly events. I am missing that. But again, the positive side is I'm having more meetings now because of LinkedIn, meeting lots of new people like you guys, and I don't have to travel. And I'm just seeing the opportunity and the positivity in this time. And you know, the list of things that we all have that we never have time to do, I'm plowing through mine. So I feel like I'm in this creation mode, and every day just reaching out and meeting other professionals like you. So it doesn't feel so alone and so much of a solitude. I feel like I'm literally doing more networking now and really meeting other like-minded professionals that are doing similar work, just in a different sector or with a different modality. So that's kind of the space that I'm in, and I welcome to connect with all of you, and happy to chat at any time.
Thanks, Deb. That that brain injury challenge is a big one. I mean, my two children, both of them, have recently finished their concussion protocols, so maybe not as serious as your daughters, but scary nonetheless. And I think that, as you say, that ability to be positive is needs to be front and center. And I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but I've experienced it where it is easier. And as a coach, sometimes you have to focus on being present and positive, because it is easier to figure out or point out what's not quite right. I'm wondering what other comments people have.
I mean, just to add to that, I mean, that's obviously a great information you shared. And from my part, I've had fair real challenges even growing up. I was born in the other continent in Africa. I was born in Nigeria, and growing up in the northern part of Nigeria as a Christian family, I did face a fair share of challenges and religious conflict, which I was a survivor of. And so for myself, when I get faced with multiple challenges in my current life here as a Canadian, I always equate it to things that I've overcome in life, and it never, it's not comparable, right? So I'm always in a positive mindset, regardless of the challenges I face. During this period of time that we are facing this pandemic, I've found a way to establish new routines, which is what I tell people to, you have to now go back to, all those lists of things you wish you could do when you don't have no time, read more, exercise more, challenge yourself mentally, and also uplift others, because for you, it might be a little challenge. For others, it might be really, really tough. So you try to share experiences with people for them to see a positive in this limelight right now, because in every adversity you face in life, no matter what it is, there's always an opportunity, and you have to recognize the opportunity, and that becomes the resource around you, the people that spend time around you, people that communicate with you, understanding the roles they play in your lives. There's so many ways we could get through these moments and realize that this is actually a great opportunity for us to reflect and live a more healthy and informed lifestyle.
That's great. Thanks, Harry. Anybody else?
I might have something to say. I think the worry that I have today, having gone through, 50 years is the economic element. Is how do people are going to lose their business? They're going to lose their franchises. They have elderly parents that are either waiting to go to a nursing home or they're already there. And I just don't know that I actually have the capacity to help these individuals, because it's going, having been through it many times, certainly the 82 was, I was very young then. So it was, but certainly just as scary. And so I just don't know. I think this for bigger minds than mine as to how do you connect with people. And that's what I'm doing globally every day, to try to see greater minds than mine as to how do you keep the individuals from doing the unpredictable, which is someone does something really strange and we lose another life, and so that's really it's, and how do you keep small groups running even on a corporation, and what's happening in our region right now is in the KW area, Cambridge, is getting supplies, like literally health supplies are just, they're starting to make a couple factories that have gone into it, but that's really something that we've never really had to worry before. And I put that out as something that from my life experience is, I don't know how to deal with those. And I know that it's not just coaching, the Zig Ziglar model, see you at the top. That's not going to help this one now. It's going to take more than that.
And that question of capacity, Carl, is really, I think it's really pertinent, because we have so much coming at us over these last few weeks, and there's going to be more coming at us over the future weeks. And then, what is our capacity to stay as positive as we had in the first poll, and to keep absorbing more information about what's going on and all those changes? I think it's a great question. And I saw Leah. Leah, you put up your hand.
Yeah, one of the conversations I've been having with other groups of people and other groups that I'm in, and just businesses I've been chatting with, is it's finding this balance, because having just all met you 30 seconds ago, I assume that I assume though that it's a group of doers and planners and fixers, and how can we do this, and let's adapt and dive in, and that is such a great quality we probably all have, that has allowed us, like Harry was saying, to kind of adapt to our new situations and make things work. But bringing in what Carl says, it's like, I know that me personally, over these last kind of 4 or 6 weeks, my instinct was to, okay, how do I adapt? How do I change? Who's like almost triaging the situation. But having really in the last even just 72 hours saying, okay, hold on a second, like let's let this absorb, and kind of finding that balance between action and reflection, to say, the fixes from past aren't necessarily going to help this time. So let's take the experience we have and kind of layer that onto what's happening. So that's just kind of an interesting, I think we all have to, check ourselves as leaders and encouragers to, we're just helping people in different ways, as opposed to trying to fix things or trying to like replan or reestablish, because that same template might not work now. So and that's the feedback I've been getting from some other groups and people that I've been chatting with. So
yeah, and from a coaching perspective, I guess what comes to mind is, so we're all doers and we're all, as you say, focused on doing, but there's time for reflecting on how we're being through all of this, right? And then what that means to us and how we adapt. That yeah, it makes a ton of sense. What else does anybody else have to think or say about that?
I think just in reply to Carl, just coming from that world of looking after different types of populations with my case management hat on here, it's hard to be a caregiver unless you've been one. It's kind of a job that's very unrelatable until you've experienced it. And I did it for 5 years with my own daughter. I did it with my parents and my brother. And I think what I want to share is there's always growth that comes out of that valley, is kind of the sentence I made for myself. So, you know, on the days where you think, how can I do this? And you go into the inner script of, why is this happening to me? And I can't do this. And we all know those self-sabotaging thoughts that we have. For my daughter, I used to say, you're not in a wheelchair. You can talk, you can eat, you can tell me what you think, you can learn. I'd always just redirect. But what I learned in the long term from always digging and finding the positivity was, I could put on my running shoes, I could go outside and just have a little walk for 20 minutes and have that reset. I didn't always have a lot of time, but I always would take the self-care to allow me a little reset, a little bit of nature. And where it's got me through all these years, because most of my family has passed away from cancer, is every Tuesday, I volunteer at hospice, and that keeps me grounded in my mind and my heart. And so when people who are my age look at me and their loved ones passing away, they'll say, how do you come here? How do you do this? And that's where you realize the resilience that you didn't know you had in these times, where you really have it. When you can look someone else in the eye, because you'll meet someone else like you, Carl, who's feeling like that, and you can say, I was you. I know how you feel right now. And it's just this instant rapport and relatability, but they see how you've gone through the grief, because we've got a global grief going on. We're all sharing the loss of this pandemic, and I now know 3 people who've passed from COVID-19. So COVID-19 is like cancer. We all have that connectivity where we know someone, unfortunately, but it's easy to get sucked into that vortex where the easiest thing. So what is common sense to you that you'll say in your mind, you have to flick the switch and make it common practice. And again, for me, it was just flicking the switch and going outside, having a walk. And even daily, Carl, I'm doing it now. It's like, I'm so happy I have my home and my health and my family's okay. And I really limit my connection of watching the news. I watch it enough to stay informed. Otherwise, it pulls you into that vortex, and it's a hard place to go, because our generation does have the children and the elderly parents. And, you know, to end this with a bit of fun, I have a 93-year-old mother-in-law, Carl. She's British. She lives in her own home. She's very, very independent and autonomous. And this is killing her, because she's not getting to go to the mall and walk and go to Shoppers Drug Mart. And, you know, she feels like she has a loss because we have to bring her meals and do her shopping. But it's because we want to save her and don't have exposure. So you can see every decade has their own interpretation of this loss, right? Wow. So we just have to support each other, and we're gonna get through the other side of the curve. It's that daily, you know, cheerleading maintenance that we have to do for ourselves, right?
Yeah. Wow. Thanks.
So
Thanks,
Carl,
Deb.
you call me anytime and I'll give you your daily pump up.
I'm fine. I get exactly what you're saying, and because, you know, I'd be on the phone, you know, through different crises in the financial every day, you know, with exactly the families that had financial stress, but also had the family stress. this one, I just don't know how we're all going to be able to help, and it's going to be little pieces. And one that I have is when people says, like, I'm going to get like, I'm done with this financial side. I've lost it. And I think about Colonel Sanders. He was 55, and I think of McDonald's, and that's kind of my little pet ones that I bring forward. So, well, let's start building it again. And so I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of new ideas, and I wish I was 30 to be able to use what knowledge that I have and all my global contacts. Is how do we hold daily kinds of meetings like this, but that we have 3,000 people on the call, because I think that's what we're going to need.
Yeah.
Working on it, Carl. Working on it. That 3,000 demo.
Thank
you. Sorry, go ahead, Harry. Did you have something else?
Yeah, no, I said it will get there, right? I think the most important thing is our mental health. Like, because I remember our CEO in the tech industry, he called me and he said, Harry, man, like, things is not looking good. Like, we have to let everyone go. We have nothing coming in, whatever. And I said, we're all dealing with this. This is a global problem. I said, how's your mental health? And he said, well, I'm stressing so much. And I said to him, I said, there are moments in life you get to, the money, your job, the economy, all that has no value comparable to what you're dealing with, which is survival. I'm like, you have to figure out a way to put yourself in the right mindset to know what really matters right now. And what really matters right now for a lot of us is our mental health, and we need to be healthy. We need to take information that is out there, public officials and government officials, to do our part. When we do these things, we help flatten the curve. When we do these things, the likeliness of us getting back to whatever normal is, even though right now we're hit so bad economically, but we need to be healthy. We need to stay mentally strong to get through this moment. And I understand it's so tough for people who has never experienced a similarity of such pandemics, because this pandemic, the impact it has on us individually is nothing new to some people. But this is a global problem, but there's been people all around the world that have dealt with different endemics, diseases, even though there were cures, but it's out of reach. So you face the same, scarcity of whatever it's food or financial issues on the development. You deal with all those things normally. So when you take all those experiences you've had and be able to reflect on ways to get through that part of it, or realize that the world continues regardless of what's going on, regardless of the way you panic, you start putting yourself back in the way where you have to start working out a routine that works for you on a day-to-day. And honestly, the exercise thing is great. Communicating with people that you care about is great. Thinking of people you could actually uplift that look up to you, it's really, really huge. Reading is also great, because when you reflect, and I remember I was reading Factfulness by Hans Rosling, and it's all about the way the world is and how better it has become. So when you read about it, you go through what we're going through right now, things we're actually going to overcome, different living levels and conditions all around the world. So when you fill yourself with a lot of information that are positive, it gets you through it. Deb talked about getting away from a lot of the news. It's really huge. When you listen to it every day, it's all negativity, and you actually get sucked in. And so sleeping is going to be hard for you. You're thinking so much. Now what you're doing is you're causing a lot more mental damage for yourself. And it doesn't get better from there. So as crazy as it is, there's a reality that the economy of the world is like that. That's a reality. We know this. What are we going to do about it to make sure we're in the right mindset to be able to gradually start getting back on our feet? It's really, really important. That's how I see this situation.
Cool. Thanks, Harry. And I just moved the slides ahead because we're actually already into today's question. And I have another poll here in terms of confidence. Let me launch that. And you guys go ahead and take a look at those questions in terms of our confidence. And the confidence is given what's happening with COVID-19. And I'm guessing it's confidence that we'll be okay, that the people around us will be okay, and that we'll get through it. Okay, so I've got 6 of you. I think there's 2 or 3 more. 7. How many are there? So 1 more. Okay, I'm going to end the polling if you haven't had a chance yet. So we have a range here. Let me see. Okay, so that is sharing now. So we're mainly and mostly fairly confident that we're going to be okay, right? And that this work that we're doing here and talking with folks will get us through. So thanks for sharing that, guys. Okay, so the other part of this first of today's question, and I have to get, there we go. So we've kind of talked about how it's affecting us, and some of us have talked about people around us, but are there other impacts that you're able to support, or impacts that you see in other people who maybe don't have our level of confidence and positivity? Just touch on that quickly, because I realize that we're 40 minutes into a 45-minute call. And actually, you know what? Maybe what we'll do is we'll just leave that and just have you guys think about that. I wanted to take a look at the rest of the components of resilience. And so, as I said, this was thanks to Luminous Learning. Carolyn shared this earlier this week. So, and this was important for me because I didn't really appreciate all the components of resilience. So positivity, confidence, priorities is about how able are you to set for yourself the right priorities over time and as you go through these unexpected changes. How creative are you in the solutions that you come up for what's going on? How well do you retain connection and look for new connections? How do you structure your day? Would you rather structure it or not structure it and just leave it, happen as it will? And then how likely are you to experiment in what's going on, or experiment with other solutions to make things better for yourself? So I'll offer everybody that if you want to learn more, just drop me a note after, excuse me, not COVID-19, and I will I'll share the rest of the polls with you so you can take a look at it. But as my intention from these calls is to get some growth going on for the folks that are on the call and sharing community also, is to think about these pieces of resilience and choose one component that you'd like to maybe strengthen for yourself in terms of the challenges of COVID-19, and make a commitment and pause and remind yourself to apply that characteristic when, in Carolyn's sheet and discussions, he calls it the wobble, right? When unexpected changes and challenges come along and you just feel that wobble, it just kind of shakes you. Then also think through 2 actions or behaviors you can use to actually reinforce that. So if it was creativity, how would you be more creative in maintaining your resilience and what's going on and solving problems? And then check in with the next wobble and see how things go. What do you guys think of that? Is that something that you'd be interested in thinking through?
Yeah, that's great.
That's cool. So guys, what else comes to mind with either the question for today or with where you're going? We have a couple more minutes to share before we close the call and let everybody carry on with their day. Who would like to share that maybe hasn't shared anything yet or has a couple questions?
I think a lot of points have been mentioned, but one thing I wanted to add is that we are some of our past experiences, and sometimes when we are faced with uncertainties in new realities, it look new to us, but I believe that we have had the experiences which give us a leg up to be able to go to the next level. We may not know what's around the corner, but I believe that when we take the next step, we will see a glimpse of it. And chatting with friends and family during this time, one thing I've realized that humans, we always want to see the big picture. And that big picture never comes clear to us, and it creates some kind of panic and anxiety within us. But if we know that we have had some kind of past experience which is different from this current situation, and we rely on that, and we master that confidence and that positivity, we're able to take the next step and hoping that, you know what, the next 5 steps will come certainly if we go, if we take the very first step and forgetting to see the bigger picture, and having those little things help us to calm our anxiety in the sense that, you know what, I'm not going to see the big picture, but I believe that I'm going to reach there. And reaching there, I need to take the next step. And believing in your past experiences and, you know, leveraging from people's expertise and ideas as well to go further. And just forget. Because we are used to structuring. And myself as an advisor, we always have a plan and we want to go by the plan, like this is the action. But in some moments, you may have the 99 all set up, but there's one piece, 1% that it's unknown, and it could bring anxiety.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what I take from that, Francis, is one of the pieces that the coaching model at Adler talks about, and it's really that trust in self, right? It's knowing that if you take that next step and you move forward, and that you've got the things that you need to be able to get yourself through, like it'll work out, right? And that will help with the anxiety and everything else. Thanks for that. That's awesome. And so I want to try and end it on time. It's about 1:45. So I want to thank you all for being here, and thanks to Deb for sharing. We haven't maybe heard from everybody, but I'm glad that you were here, Alan and Peter. I think you guys are on the call also. And so what I want to say is the group is getting bigger on LinkedIn, and soon it'll be at 1,000 people. And so what I'm planning to do kind of as a celebration, and hopefully it'll be next month, is that and hopefully things will be moving back towards opening up, is maybe have a webinar on actually building teams and building the trust and commitment and things that will help us create teams and move them towards high performance. So keep an eye out for that. And we'll see how it goes next month. So I want to thank you all for being here. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everybody. Here we go. And then, we'll pick it up next month and see how it goes. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to meet everybody.
Bye. Great to meet you, too. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.